Okay, so to tell you my life story, I have to start really young. So, I'll start back as far as I can remember. I know when I was very little, we never really had a stable place to live in. We were always bouncing back and forth from hotel to apartment to a car to live in, or sometimes even a tent. When I was around 2 or 3 years old, my mother allowed a man to move in with us because he was helping pay bills. And during that time, I was molested by him, and my mom did nothing about it. She told me that I was wrong and that I just didn't know what was going on. So that got blown off, and then we ended up moving. That man moved out. I never had to see him again. And we lived in a tent and then in a van, and then we finally got our way back to Washington because we were in Montana at that point. And when we got back to Washington, around 3 or 4 is when I met my soon-to-be stepdad. When he came into our life, a lot of things changed. We ended up getting an actual apartment in a really good neighborhood. We ended up getting he had vehicles, so he could take us back and forth to our doctor's appointments and everything that was needed. So things were really starting to look up. He even lived close by us. He even helped my brother's dad get into an apartment there. So we all had an apartment in this apartment complex, so we could just walk around to see each other. And my brother chose to live with his dad, and me being like, I was my brother's shadow. I loved being around him, still do. But he chose to live with his dad, so obviously I chose to go with him. His dad's girlfriend at the time was leaving alcohol out, and I was only like 3 or 4, and so I didn't really know what it was, and I had accidentally drank her alcohol. They were having sexual encounters in front of us, so we needed to basically leave, and we were not allowed to stay with them anymore. So at that point, we lived back with my mom, and that's when she told us that my stepdad had proposed to her and that they would be getting married soon. And we were really excited because this man, got us a place to live, was just there for us, and it was amazing. He moved in with us and they got married. We got to meet his kids from like previous marriages. Realized that I was already an aunt, and at this time I was about 4 or 5. We lived in that apartment complex until I was 7. When I was 7, my stepdad and my mother told us that we'd be moving to Kentucky from Washington State because that is where David's kids moved. So basically, I don't know if I should say his name. Damn. So basically, we moved to Kentucky, and that, I think, is where things started to go downhill. That is when I started realizing that my mom lied a lot. She was... Really? No. She was a compulsive liar. She lied to everyone around us. Sorry. Finley. It's friendly. She lied to everyone around us, and especially to like close friends. She stole a lot, and I don't think I really realized this until later on, but that is when, like, now looking back, I can really start to remember it. But anyways, so we lived in Kentucky, and David's sister ended up passing away. So David is from Alabama, and so we went to Alabama, and I'm sorry, David is my stepdad. Yeah, so that's actually not even his real name, but I'm not gonna give that to you guys. So David's sister ended up passing away, and he's from Alabama. So they chose to go to Alabama for her funeral and left John and I with family friends. And oh no, sorry, that's on Easter they went before she passed away, and then after she passed away, they took us with her. And we all decided that we really liked Alabama and that we should move there, especially my brother really wanted to move there. He loved it there. So after we had moved to Alabama is when things really started going downhill. David became a truck driver, and any little issue that my mom, she spanked us all the time no matter what, but any little issue my mom had, like if we didn't take the trash out, the second they told us to take the trash out, we would get belts to our backs or butts. We would get wooden spoons, whatever was in her reach. Honestly, whatever was in her reach, if because she would never just use her hand. She would leave marks on us all the time. There's even one incident when we lived in Kentucky that my brother backtalked her, and she punched him and beat him up our stairs when we lived there. And so, my mom, after meeting David, became very abusive, and it really took off after we left Washington State. And then it got worse on John, which is my brother, when we got to Kentucky, but got worse on me when we got to Alabama. So when we got to Alabama, again, she beat us for anything and everything. And David would tell her to. So if I told David that I didn't want to go to the store with him, or if I was in the shower, and I didn't get out the second he told me to, he would make my mom beat me. And with belts to the point where it left welts and marks and stuff like that. And then I can vividly remember one instant living in Alabama where I was in the shower and David told me that I needed to do the dishes, and I was in the shower, and because I didn't get out of the shower right away, I got my butt spanked with a belt. That was his belt, and David is a very, very large man, about 300 pounds at this point, and so his belts were about that thick and left welts across my back and butt. So, so he was a truck driver, so he was just gone most of the time. He was gone 30 days and then home for 4. And in that 30 days, if my mom were to complain to him about us not listening or anything like that, it would just be worse when he got home. And then that is when I really started realizing that my mom was stealing from any friends that I would have over from me, and it was just getting bad. So she said that she hated Alabama and that she wanted to move back where she knew people, and that was Washington. So 2014 we moved back to Washington State, and I'm so happy that we did, because we had met a very close family friend to us that chooses to not be part of social media at this point. Maybe you guys can meet them in the future, but at this point I will not say their name. But this super close family friend lived on quite a big plot of land, had a lot of animals and stuff, so I met her daughter, and her daughter asked me if I wanted to just come over and help them clean up and stuff like that. And then from that point on, they invited me out almost every weekend. They even told me that I could live with them when my mom moved to a state over. She moved to Idaho, and that way I can continue going to my school. And so I lived with them for a while, and then the second my mom got her child support taken away that she got from me because I wasn't living with her, she would force me to move back. That way she would get it back. And I went back and forth from my family friend's home 3 times, and the third time I would call my family friend crying or texting her whenever I got the chance, trying to tell her that my mom was beating me. It got so bad one night that I had an attitude with her, and she threw me to the ground, punched me and kicked me and cracked my ribs. and then lied to the police officers and said that I fell and that I was being over dramatic, and they believed her. Even though my brother and my stepdad saw it, and they both are, my brother is kind of, I don't know how to put it. He has learning disabilities, so he cannot read or write very well. And so the police wanted him to write up a statement, and my stepdad wrote it for him and forced him to sign it. So basically everyone just said I was lying until it happened again, and I went to school with bruises, and they brought a CPS worker over, and then there was an open case. And obviously in this time I had been dating Austin for a while, and his stepmom was seeing what was going on, and that is when she said that I could move in with them, and convinced my mom to let me move in with them because I was about to have surgery. And my mom had, where she lived, there was stairs that went up to their house, and I was going to have a reconstructive knee surgery. So Austin's stepmom made it look like it was in the best interest of me and my surgery to stay with them since they didn't have any stairs. And so I lived with them until my mom was about to get her child support check taken away and forced me to move back. And at this point I was still being beaten, abused almost every other day. Like, I would text Austin and send him pictures of bruises and stuff like that almost every other day. Like, it was bad. So oh my goodness, I'm sorry. So after I was out of the situation with Austin, we ended up getting married. That way I could get emancipated, and there's a whole video on that too, like what led up to that. So if you want to see that, check that out. And yeah, so basically the reason we chose to not have, and this is only like a brief part of the story, I should say, there was my friends that she stole from, Austin that she stole from, the family friends that she stole from, me that she stole from. My mother was also getting over almost $1,000, like $5 shy of $1,000 for me for child support, that even when I was not living with her we never saw. So yeah, there was just a lot that went into it, that in order to give you guys a full story, I would be sitting here for hours trying to tell you my life story, and at this point I just don't think it's possible. So basically at this point, why we are not choosing to have my mother a part of Brinley's life is because if she did not cherish the daughter she had, and if she did not treat me with respect, I don't expect her to treat my daughter like that. And I don't want to have Brinley have the I don't want her to grow up how I did. You know, like, I get that it would just be her grandma, but I don't think my mother deserves to be in her life if she didn't even want me in hers. I want my daughter to know unconditional love by all of her family, and I just don't think my mother can show that, especially if she couldn't show it to her own daughter. My mother is currently back in Alabama. She moved away, so I don't think that keeping Brinley away from her will be also too hard. But with all this being said, if Brinley turns 18 and decides that she really wants to meet her biological grandma, by all means, I will 100% allow her to do that. But while she is still in my care, I don't think that I will want Brinley to meet her. And Austin feels the same way. And basically all of Austin's family feels the same way, considering how many times my mother had screwed them over. The family friends that I still talk to feels the exact same way, because they were screwed over the most by my mom, like thousands and thousands of dollars. But yeah, that's kind of my life story, and why my mom is not in our lives, and why we choose to not have that hurt in Brinley's life. I'm sorry that this video was a little bit down, and me realizing that I now have to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. But I want to thank everyone for watching, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to follow along with our journey and our family. And yeah, we would love for you guys to stick around. We are almost at 600, which is crazy. And if you guys have any video suggestions, leave them down below, or put them in my slot that I always put on Instagram when whenever I upload a video. I like go on Instagram and I open up a comment section on my story. So yeah, I'd love for you guys to check that out. All right, anyways, give this video a thumbs up, like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. My social medias will be linked in the description box down below. And yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.